The most anticipated earnings releases for the week of August 26, 2024. Presented by earningswhispers. We've got a steady week of earnings releases with just over 130 companies scheduled for the week. There are a lot of names that will get a lot of coverage, but nothing compares to the main company scheduled to report. Nvidia. A number of Chinese companies are scheduled to report, and two will top investors' focus list to start the week too. First, we'll get results from PDD Holdings, who owns Temu. Most data points suggest continued weakness among Chinese consumers, but maybe growth in the US is making up for that. Then we'll get Trip.com, which kind of has a similar story. China travel continues to pick up, but how long can that continue with a weak Chinese consumer? Most likely, you are going to see things as more interesting on Tuesday, particularly after the close when companies like SentinelOne and Box report. You really don't like either one. And why would you like SentinelOne after having back-to-back disappointing results? But last quarter's gap lower on heavy volume has marked the bottom for the stock, and now it is making an attempt to fill that March earnings gap. The chart for Box looks different, and even though it filled its gap at $30 earlier in the year, it has pulled back and trying to find support. While the point of control over the past year is around $26, it's that $28 level the stock is currently holding above, which likely matters for now. As I said, and you likely already know, the main event is Nvidia, which will report results 20 minutes after the market closes on Wednesday. Expectations are mostly more of the same, and options traders are pricing in more of the same too, with an 11.1% move getting priced in, which is exactly how the stock has reacted over the past several quarters. Nvidia is the market mover, but there is also, understandably, a lot of interest in CrowdStrike, which reported strong results last quarter, but then sometimes things happen. Now, the question is just how much the outage is impacting results. Not so much this past quarter, but going forward. Thursday is likely going to feel like a letdown following the companies from the previous day, but there are plenty of important names set to report. This time around, Dell is at the top of investors' list. Last quarter, sentiment had reached an extreme, and while the company beat the consensus estimate, it missed the earnings whisper, and the combination gave it a grade of F, and the stock has drifted lower during the quarter. Sentiment reached its December lows in early August, but has bounced back over the past few weeks going into earnings. ULTA Beauty will report at around the same time on Thursday. Sentiment in ULTA has reached its lowest level since the pandemic. That's when Warren Buffett jumped in, and the stock has rallied on heavy volume. That's not an indication of the company's results, but with the stock down more than 40%, we are likely closer to the bottom than the top. Friday is going to look a lot like Fridays for the next 6 weeks, with just a few names reporting and often not a lot of information. Frontline had a good move recently with an industry that showed a lot of strength last quarter. But so far this quarter, its peers have been lagging the overall market. The story here is likely more about sentiment just too high after the run-up than the results. Then there is Jinko Solar, and there has been little evidence that solar is turning anytime soon. There are a lot of double-digit moves likely this week, so plan accordingly. However, there are a few interesting moves getting priced into options, such as Titan Machinery, which has averaged a 12.7% move over the past several quarters, but options are priced for a 21.5% move. What makes that most interesting is that the company already told us what it is going to report. So, at least in theory, most of that move should already be in the stock. Looking out for the month, we still see plenty of names next week. But while September promises to be slow, there is still a lot of white space that has yet to be filled by companies such as Oracle.